I thinks we're good. I thinks we are good, and hello everybody. How's it going this week? We are back with another episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling video podcast I run over here on youtube.com/UC Campbell /GodSaw/whatever it is. It's on channel GodSaw, and we're back with episode 110 this week, as it's beginning to storm out here in Arizona. There's a couple of things as I'm going live with this right now. It's really getting ready to storm out here. We do have a lot of dust storms during this time. It is monsoon season, so well, it kind of is what it is. It's starting a little bit earlier in the day. Most of the times it's been late at night when it happens, but like I said, it is what it is, and we don't get much rain out here in the Arizona area, but when we do, it's usually good. I grew up originally in Ohio, so in the terms of storms, they're very normal and frequent to me. You kind of just do whatever at that point, but it looks like I'm going to be running the podcast while we are doing this today, and we have actually a good chunk to go through this week, wrestling news wise, and then of course Raw, NXT, SmackDown, everything going down this week. A very busy wrestling week in the terms of everything. And again, well, what kind of take out your cell phones. Batman, you keep this chat going, and you know it's great. And you know, again, we were just a couple of months ago talking about CM Punk. And we were talking about what he and Colt Cabana were going through with the lawsuit with Dr. Amann, the WWE doctor. Well, that went, and that has come and gone, and now with them coming out on top, well, now they're in another lawsuit, but not with Dr. Amann. Not with Dr. Amann at all. They are in a lawsuit with each other. So earlier this week, it was released that Colt Cabana, or Scott Coleman in this one, is going to be suing CM Punk for what is in excess over $1 million at this point in time, due to areas of a couple of different areas and potentially broken promises that was said from CM Punk to Colt Cabana. I'm going to probably use their wrestling names more than the real names, though. If you do, you can search up the file itself. It's a 15-page file for the lawsuit that does have certain things inside of it, including everything that's going on in this as well. You can search that. I believe I found it in one of the Chicago Tribune websites, where, you know, things like this, it's public file, so you can actually find it and read it and see what's going on. But it is an interesting one due to the factors of apparently there were some broken promises from CM Punk. Now, granted, and before we fully get into all of this, we are only getting one side of the story right now. We are getting Colt Cabana's side of the story. We're not getting CM Punk's side of the story. We're not getting Phil Brooks' side of the story or anything on that side. Matter of fact, as of this moment, he hasn't even really spoken about it. Probably due to legal reasons and everything on that side, that he has not spoken much on it, or anything on it. So we've pretty much just got the lawsuit that is being filed, and that's all we're going on right now. And apparently there were some promises made over emails and text messages and everything on that one due to the lawsuit with Dr. Amann that was promising that CM Punk was going to cover all of Colt Cabana's legal fees going forward in this, and he was actually being represented by, you know, by CM Punk's law firm that he was going with at that time. But things kind of took a change apparently, and this was kind of reported a little bit that they had a falling out somewhere in 2016, and around that time Colt Cabana had gotten a message from CM Punk, paraphrasing it, basically saying that CM Punk had sent him either a text message or an email on this one. I'm not fully sure if it was through emails or through text messages. I forget off the top of my head. I don't have that file in front of me, but I believe it was an email. But basically saying is like, as of right now, I've spent X number of dollars. As a matter of fact, I think he said it was like $500,000 or $513,276 on the current lawsuit. And his current bill was and his current bill at the time was outstanding at $300,000, which he said at that point is like, half of this is yours. You are basically saying that he was on his own, and that he was also expecting Colt Cabana to pay him back for the original $513,000 as well, which is close to $260,000. As a matter of fact, it's probably about 200 and let me think here off the top of my head, 251,500, around that ballpark of everything. And he was expecting him to return it. He also says, like, also saying at that time that he was on his own, that he would not be paying them going forward, and that he would be expecting half of the bills to be paid by Colt Cabana, and that he basically had given up on him doing the right thing from here on in. And he also made mention to, and this is on CM Punk's side apparently with this one, there's apparently evidence of this as well, to go along with it. They don't give all the evidence inside of there, but, you know, they give some of the evidence inside of there, which was retention papers and signing of retention papers of saying that Punk was going to cover the legal fees, everything on that side, to go along with it. And basically he had also made mentions like, I don't care if you make this ugly, I hope you don't, but, you know, it is what it is. And yeah, like you said, basically saying that CM Punk was saying to Colt Cabana is like, from here on in, you're on your own on that one. So, like I said, apparently there was a lot of retention papers and everything on that side that was going to go forward that's saying CM Punk was covering all this. So, and there's a lot of other things that went along with it as well, because apparently after this, you know, Colt Cabana was going to get his own representation, but CM Punk's lawyers also made mention to him that, you know, kind of making an about face about it, that, you know, it's probably in your best interest that you stay with us, everything on that side. He's going to be covering it from here on in. Again, this is all the evidence that we've been given kind of at this point in time, to go along with it. And the final portion of this had basically was said in 2017 that CM Punk's lawyers basically dropped Colt Cabana for representation, everything on that side. One thing that they also made mention in the spot on 2016, when he was originally going to be getting representation on his own, and they got him to not do that. You know, it was also made mention that even though Colt Cabana would not be you know, participating in being able to pay the legal fees, that Punk's representative or his lawyers were basically saying is like, we're still prepared to do this, we're still prepared to, you know, defend you, and that there isn't really there isn't anything ethical that says I can't represent you and Phil at this point in time. And it's basically like I said, we've got the one side of the story on that one. And like I said, and then you got to 2017 where Colt Cabana was dropped by them, and I think he got his own representation going into the Dr. Amann case to go along with it. And because of everything that was going forward everything that was going forward on that, based off the bills that he got from the other lawyer and everything, he's expecting, based off of promises that Punk had said, that he's going to be 100% covered for the situation. That he was, getting in retention of a couple $100,000 in those bills, which were refused and everything on that one, which leads to this lawsuit. And I think there's some other damages that he's going for as well that makes it upwards of $1 million for the lawsuit itself. So it's kind of a crappy situation. And again, we only have one side of the story right now, so we can't really say one way or the other of which way this is really going. If any of the stuff, yeah, that was the case. That is definitely the case, Batman. A lot of people didn't think that they would have a falling out. The falling out reportedly happened around 2016 when Colt Cabana visited a Monday Night Raw to visit some of the guys, and Punk didn't really take lightly to that due to the fact that they had this pending lawsuit with the doctor, everything on that side. Yet here's Colt Cabana just willy-nilly hanging around those guys as well. So that's probably one of the things that would be going on that side. But it will be it's going to be an interesting one. And again, if this one does go to trial or anything on that side, it will be interesting to see all of the evidence on all sides here, and who is in the right, who's in the wrong, where is this really going, how is it really going, how everything really went down. Is basically, Punk saying that he was going to cover Colt Cabana's legal costs completely, 100%. He was covered. Also aspects of Colt Cabana saying that, hey, if I didn't have this information beforehand saying that I was going to be 100% covered, I would have just pulled down the podcast to begin with, which they did show the papers that Dr. Amon's lawyers had sent to Colt Cabana saying, hey, you need to take down this podcast within X period of time, which he had sent over to Punk, said, hey, you're going to be covered. Let me talk to the lawyers on this one. And eventually it went forward that, he would have just complied with it. Honestly, at that point in time, those words were going to be out. Those words were going to be out there regardless, no matter what. Every step of the way, they were going to be there. I'm going to just double check one thing here. Okay, we're good. I was just double checking my I was just double checking to see if we were dropping frames or anything, but he was going to potentially just take down that podcast if anything, and it wouldn't have been like that. The information would not have been out there because it would have been uploaded by a bunch of other people to YouTube or something in that sense, and it would have been really hard to make sure that it didn't get out in some way, shape, or form. We would have definitely gotten it, but he would have been able to pull the podcast off of his website, and then he would have been able to, and then basically all of this would have been not even bothered with at that point in time because of that, because not even the Dr. Amon stuff would have happened at that point to begin with. So, like I said, at this point in time, it's a crappy situation. Guys who seem to be best of friends for a little while, but it seems that they have had a falling out. Whether it be over the money or whether it be over another reason why on that one to go along with it is, up in the air on why that falling out ended up happening. And it really does suck. But we also only have one side of the story right now, and that one side of the story does not make it look good for CM Punk at this point in time. At this point in time to go along with it, and based off of some other things that have gone along with it as well, it's, not really in a good light. But like I said, it's one of those things, we only have one side of the story. We got to save judgment until we can get CM Punk's side of the story, or if he says anything about it going forward to go along with that as well on any side of everything. Up until that point in time, whether it goes to trial or they settle outside of court, it is what it is at this moment in time. And until we get more information, we really got to hold judgment. We can't really say one way or the other on that side of everything. But I'll keep a lookout on it as well, and I'm sure many of the other podcasters will keep a lookout for it as well, talking about everything on that side, and see whenever more news comes up about it, and we'll put it on the podcast when that does happen on that side of everything. But hopefully the situation kind of just I won't say go away, but we end out kind of knowing what's going on with this one and where everything's going on that. Again, not good news to start off the week. We don't always start off the week with great news, but you know, we do go forward with some pretty good news on this one. And as a matter of fact, we'll go ahead and talk about both of these right off the bat here. So over the last couple of days, as a matter of fact, ending this morning, the G1 Climax, the G1 Climax 28, or 2018's G1 Climax tournament for New Japan Pro Wrestling ended. The last two nights were very good shows in that sense, especially the final matches going into them. A matter of fact, it was the last two matches that were really good on night the 12th or the 18th night, which was the end of the B block. The end of the A block ended with a very good match, extremely good match between Tanahashi and Okada. Went to a 30-minute time limit draw. They did put an interesting one on here. If you've been watching any of the G1 Climax, Okada have been kind of changing. He changed up his music. He's changed up like ring attire to a certain degree. He's dyed his hair as well, and he was coming out with balloons to all of his matches. And they're playing, like, they remixed the music to like even play to him releasing the balloons and the air releasing out. Kind of interesting stuff that they were doing with Okada. But apparently the building that they were in for the G1 Climax at the end of the day said that there would be no balloons allowed. So he was disappointed. It's like, what do I do without my balloons to go along with it? So it seems like that's going to be a thing going forward with Okada, is the balloon thing. His match with Tanahashi was extremely good. Extremely good. But again, this G1 Climax it's led to some really good matches on that side of everything. Some of them that you would probably even throw up there for Match of the Year candidates to go along with it. The matches for the last nights to really watch in some way, shape, or form. So Block A, Okada, Tanahashi, goes to a time limit draw. Probably not their best match that they've had with each other, but still a really good match. I also recommend watching the Zack Sabre Jr. and the Naito match on B block on final night, and that one would be right before the Okada Ibushi match. Again, both those matches really good, extremely good matches. And then of course the finals. So we'll go ahead and it's kind of spoilerish, but you know, the matches have happened now, so you can kind of talk about it a little bit. So because of the draw on the at the end of Block A, Tanahashi won the block by having 15 points. He had 15 points, Okada had 13 points on that one. And based off of everything that went down on the actual final itself for the B block, Ibushi ended out winning the block. So going into the last night of the B block, Naito needed to win his match and then have Kenny Omega draw in his the Omega and the Ibushi match to draw in order to get the win because they had the tiebreakers over him. So what ended up happening was his match was with Zack Sabre Jr. He ends up losing the match with Zack Sabre Jr., gets eliminated. Extremely good match. Again, recommended to go watch on that one. And then with Okada and Ibushi, those two had their match right afterwards, where if they had a draw or Kenny won, he goes on, and then Ibushi had to beat Kenny. Now apparently I have not really seen these matches from before, but they've only had 2 matches in Japan. They weren't with New Japan themselves. They were with their other promotion that they had been working for, which was DDT Pro, I think. And just for reference, DDT Pro is also that the organization in Japan that does a lot of the those weirder matches, like the sauna matches and a few of the other weird ones. Kind of like if you have been watching a bunch of the Matt Hardy, the Broken Universe, Woken Universe stuff with Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, and all them. Things like that. They do a lot of those as well. They had 2 matches over there, one in 2008, one in 2012, and Ibushi won all of those. Going into this match, you could tell Ibushi didn't really want to do this match because he didn't really want to fight Kenny, but, you know, they wanted to win the block to go forward. And they had an extremely hard-hitting, emotional style match between the two of them in there, which ended out having Kota Ibushi pick up the victory over Kenny Omega and advancing to the final against Tanahashi. That was this morning. This is where the interesting one goes, because a lot of people were feeling that they were going to go with Kota Ibushi winning the G1 and then going on to either face Kenny or whomever was champion at Wrestle Kingdom to go along with it. But they didn't go that route. The ending saw Tanahashi pick up the victory after his 3rd high fly flow, which is his version of a frog splash. He did it to Kota's back, and then he did it to Kota standing up, and then he did it one more time to finish off Kota Ibushi. As of this moment in time, with Tanahashi winning the G1 Climax, he is going to Wrestle Kingdom to face Kenny Omega for the IWGP Heavyweight title. Now, those things can change because I do think they do play storylines that they do storylines where the person who's won the G1 may have to put their shot on the line at some point in time throughout the rest of the year. There's also a chance that Kenny Omega doesn't pick up the victory, or doesn't keep the belt until Wrestle Kingdom as well. Matter of fact, they do have his next challenger in place, which is going to be Ishii, based off of the victory that he had over Kenny Omega in the G1, and he also put out the challenge. I believe in the same night of this match, he had put out that challenge on that side of everything. Now, how does this kind of tie into what's going on for the next story? Because, like I said, G1 was very good throughout this year. I do recommend going to at least watch the block matches. You don't necessarily have to watch the tag team matches. They have little previews and everything of what's going on, but you don't necessarily fully need to watch them. The block matches, there's a lot of good block matches in there from this year. So how does this tie into the next story? Well, this is talking about the Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling, or the Ring of Honors and New Japan's Supercard show that is happening over WrestleMania weekend in Madison Square Garden. And here's going to be the crazy thing about this. So we talked about this a while back with the All In events that is run by the Young Bucks and Cody and everything on that side, and how they sold out a 10,000 seat arena. Well, officially at this point, and based off of the configuration that they are going with at Madison Square Garden, Ring of Honor and New Japan for their Supercard has sold out MSG. So they sold out Madison Square Garden, which is going to be upwards of at least 15,000 people inside of that particular arena for this supercard, and they haven't even announced any of the matches. So, and based off of the tickets that were left after the pre-sale, the pre-sale that was going on. So they had a pre-sale that was going on for Ring of Honor, the Honor members, basically people who are part of the Ring of Honor Honor Club. They had a pre-sale for that, and that one apparently sold upwards of 12,000 tickets. So already beating the All-In event. But and then the last 3,000 tickets apparently sold out within about 15 minutes of going on sale to the general public. So it's also being considered one of the fastest sellouts inside of the Madison Square Garden area for a wrestling event. It's also going to be the first wrestling event since I think the 1960s that won't be run by the last name McMahon to go along with it. So this is going to be an interesting show, and this sellout again, and just like the All-In show as well, just like the All-In show in Chicago when those tickets went on sale, none of the matches were announced, and they sold out like that. That's kind of nuts to really think about it, and it's very good for you know, companies like Ring of Honor and everything on that side. There is some interesting ones about this. They did promote for Okada and Tanahashi, and I believe Naito and a few other New Japan stars, and of course the Ring of Honor crew is being promoted. Three people were left out of the promotion for this New Japan for this Ring of Honor New Japan show, which leads you to be kind of interesting about where are they going. It's like, where are they going? What are they doing? Are they going somewhere? And that question went to the aspect of there was no mention to Kenny Omega, no mention to Nick or Matt Jackson, the Young Bucks. There's a lot of rumor going around that they are going to WWE once their contracts are up. At this point in time, I kind of hope they don't, because based off of, and it's not all them, but a good portion of this success that we've seen has been based around the buzz that, you know, that the Young Bucks have done for themselves, and what Kenny Omega has done over in New Japan Pro Wrestling as well. So it would be kind of cool to have them on that show, to be kind of like the big thing for that one. So you kind of hope that the Bucks and Omega stay with New Japan and stay with Ring of Honor for at least one more year on that one, and they get to be part of this show, and they'll be running this the same night as the NXT TakeOver show as well. So that's going to be an interesting one to go along with as well on that one. Interesting watching going forward WrestleMania weekend, because you have I would agree with this for now. Now, I would agree with Batman on this one for now. It's like, we don't necessarily want them to go to WWE yet. Now, granted, we got to go with this one. It's based on, like, whether they go to the WWE or not is based on how they feel. Do they really want, like, a WrestleMania-style moment? Or what do they really want in the terms of everything for Omega and all of them going forward, and the Bucks going forward and everything on that side? So it's an interesting one to kind of go along with on that side of it. But we'll see how everything ends up going. There's a lot of rumor that they're going to push hard, and there's a lot of rumor that they're probably thinking about it seriously, because they may feel, all three of them may feel at this point that, you know, WWE is the last thing that they kind of want to do, because they've kind of done everything when it comes to New Japan and Ring of Honor and all that all that stuff, and basically everything with the indies to go along with it. So it'll be interesting to see how they do with it. Now, here's going to be the thing. I don't think them leaving Ring of Honor and New Japan is going to hurt them that much, because I feel the way that Ring of Honor and New Japan have been doing with their shows as of late has definitely been... they're very good at building up the new stars. So once a new one does leave or go to WWE or they retire or something on that side, they are able to build up their next star really well. And they've been able to do that. So I don't think... I think initially it might hurt the either company, but I don't think it hurts them in the end for everything, because I feel like they'll be able to build up other stars, and the wrestling... in the terms of the in-ring work that they have, in the way that they tell stories in Ring of Honor and in New Japan, the way they tell stories is, it's a unique way of doing it, and by unique, they focus it more around the ring work that tell the story, so it's a little bit more old school on that side of everything. So it's an interesting way of going, and hopefully we'll see what ends up happening. But I think even if they do end up leaving, I don't think it will actually hurt New Japan as much as some people are thinking at this point in time. And before we go into everything here, let me see. Because he's not pushing the Batman as favorites as any of the Batman's favorite superstars. That may be true, though. That may be true, but it's an interesting note to think about it on this one for the Batman, that Boom Comics is actually run by DC. I think it's like affiliated with DC in some way, shape, or form. So the WWE comic book is actually affiliated with DC in some way, shape, or form to go along with it. Now, granted, they have not gotten anybody from the DC universe to show up in there. Hopefully that doesn't happen in any way. But that is an interesting note for that one to go along with it. Also, happening this weekend, I won't talk about spoilers. I won't talk about too many. I won't talk about any actual spoilers for the show itself. They did tape the Mae Young Classic down in Full Sail, and apparently those episodes are going to start airing on September the 5th, with, of course, the finals ending on October 28th with the Evolution pay-per-view. They've gotten up to the finals over there. Again, I'm not going to talk about spoilers. If you really are interested in seeing who's already there, you can find it somewhere on one of the other wrestling websites to go along with it. And this one's a kind of a sad news as well, because she was slated to be in last year's Mae Young Classic, but before that ended up happening, she ended up having a torn ACL. That was Nixon Newell, or I believe she's going by the name Tegan Knox in WWE as part of the NXT. She ended up having an injury in one of the matches, which is being reported to be a broken leg, or could be another type of knee injury. We're not fully familiar with whether or not it's a broken leg or something with the knee again, which kind of sucks, because I watched a little bit of her stuff before she was coming over to WWE, which was in and what was called What Culture Pro Wrestling, or WCPW, which is now known as Defiant. Watched some of her matches over there, and she's pretty damn good of a wrestler. So she had that injury last year, and then she's in the Mae Young Classic this year and gets another injury, which really sucks on that side. Hopefully it's not going to be a thing where she's going to be labeled as injury prone. I think this one was based off the fact that she was doing apparently she was doing a dive to the outside and landed awkwardly, and which caused the leg injury to happen. So hopefully it's not an injury that keeps her out for too terribly long. but it's one of those, based off of reports, it would be an injury that would keep her out for a significant period of time again, which really sucks on her side because, again, it may give her a label of being injury prone, but then but also it kind of takes away from her time of being able to continually showing what she can do inside of the ring to go along with it. And she is a very good talent, and hopefully she gets to come back, you know, better and everything on that side going forward. As a matter of fact, I think Triple H cut a promo before one of the portions of the taping saying that, you know, she's going to come back stronger and better than ever. So that's good. That makes it feel like that they're not going to give up on her on that side of everything. So now that we've gotten through the news side, which we're 35 minutes into the show, and I'm just getting to this now on this one. This is, again, this portion is getting longer and longer for everything, which I guess isn't a horrible thing to go along with it. There was a lot to cover, so is what it is. So let's get into everything for this week's Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and we had some interesting stuff on all sides to go along with it. Monday Night Raw this week, which aired on August the 6th, 2018, wasn't really good, but it wasn't really bad. It was the most dreaded, I think, honestly, the most dreaded word that we can probably use for Monday Night Raw. It's kind of meh. It's kind of meh. It felt like it was extremely filler with everything. The show started off with Kurt Angle and Baron Corbin coming out. Angle started going over what Brock Lesnar had done last week. And of course this gets interrupted by Roman Reigns. He's expecting that, oh, the front office is going to suspend Lesnar or the match is not going to happen. It's like, no, that's not going to be doing that. Matter of fact, Angle says he hopes that he kicks Brock Lesnar's ass, which actually gets Baron Corbin going. They have a back and forth between this. This eventually leads to a match with Baron Corbin and Roman Reigns, which was actually a good match. Again, those two put on a really good, I thought they put on a pretty good match here between them. If there's been one thing that we've been getting on Monday Night Raw, is that we get a couple of good matches out of it to go along with everything on that side. So this one, like I said, was a really good match. Towards the end, Baron Corbin was going to leave. Finn Balor's music ends out playing, which prevents him from leaving. This forces Corbin back into the ring, where he does eat another Superman punch and a spear to lose the match. Roman, yes, goes over on that one, but leaving Finn Balor to finish him off with a drop kick into that hard drop kick into the corner and the coup de grace. And like Roman and Finn kind of had like this little stare down and a fist bump type thing to go along with it, which was actually not too bad either. Like I said, it wasn't too terribly bad on that side of everything. And it was a very Roman heavy show based off of how everything ended up going. But it wasn't that bad, really. That's the thing. There's been Roman heavy shows where it's like, okay, here we go. Oh, okay, here we go type of thing. But based off of what they did, I thought it was pretty decent throughout the show. And there was a few more things to go along with this. You had a backstage segment with Kurt Angle and Seth Rollins. Seth was basically talking about how, you know, whenever he's about to take care of Dolph Ziggler, Drew gets in the way, and then whenever he is about to take care of Drew McIntyre, Dolph gets in the way, and basically leading to Kurt Angle saying, well, find yourself a tag team partner, and you got a tag match tonight. It's like, alright, so that's where they're going with that one. So we'll find out later who he ends up finding as a tag team partner and how that ends up playing out. You had Bobby Roode versus Mojo Rawley. Bobby Roode ends out winning with a glorious DDT. Not much to this. It was an okay match, but Again, not much to it. They built up mojo for these past few weeks, and then you kind of thought that they would lead it up to him beating Bobby Roode, but it doesn't look like that they're going that route. I would imagine there's still going to be another couple of matches with this one, but not much to really talk about on this one. Bobby Roode won with a glorious DDT in the end on that side of it. You had Elias with a segment, and I thought this segment was actually quite good, based off of what Elias was saying. So Elias was in the ring and doing his typical thing, but he had a camera crew to film a new documentary with him to go along with it. And he's running down the crowd, everything on that side. And he's talking to the producer about how it's like, is there a way you can like CGI out the crowd, or at least CGI out their faces to have better faces on them or everything on that one? He talks about how Bobby Lashley is the one that is, you know, the reason why his album didn't go higher on the charts or anything on that one. Of course, this brings out Bobby Lashley, and they had a decent back and forth. I thought there was a decent back and forth here. So, you know, you had Elias basically, in a nutshell, this is kind of how it was. Elias called Lashley a joke, but Lashley in the end was like, it's like, what are you really going on about? It's like your singing's a joke, your music's a joke, all this is a joke for Elias. And he threatens Elias, basically saying, it's like, if you keep mentioning my name, I'm not, this is not going to be a joke. I'm going to destroy you. And Elias is like, okay, I'm going to go and leave. Chill. Tranquilo. Chill. On that one. And then he takes the clipboard from the guy and attacks Lashley. Lashley eventually gets control and lays out Elias, and he's directing the camera crew throughout the entire thing. I thought this was actually kind of good on that one. Like I said, some stuff here was not too bad, but you just had lots of filler in here to go along with it. And we'll talk about the Paul Heyman promo a little bit later as well, because that was fantastic. You had Tyler Breeze backstage. He was talking about how he was going to be Seth Rollins' tag team partner to Seth Rollins. Wants to do the Shield fist bump with Seth Rollins. Like, okay, let's do this before I change my mind. And Seth just kind of looks at it. Roman walks in, and it's like, this interaction I liked, because Roman and Seth is like, you just have Roman's like, really? And Seth's bit was like, dude, everyone wants to be part of the Shield, so whatever on that. And it's like, okay, I'll be your tag partner tonight. They fist bump and they walk off. I thought that was a pretty decent segment as well. You had Razor versus Titus O'Neil. Razor went over in what was an okay match with them. They're having one-on-one matches with Titus Worldwide and the Authors of Pain, kind of 50-50 booking. Akam lost last week. Titus loses this week. So kind of is what it is. You have a backstage segment before the Kevin Owens show with Jinder Mahal, where Kevin Owens is going over notes with Jinder Mahal, and I like how they're just like, they're kind of going through the notes, and you have Kevin Owens like crossing out like certain things, like, okay, we won't do that, but okay, we can do this. All right, let's do this type bit. I like that little interaction that they had there. You don't hear any words or anything to go along with it. It's just like them talking, no sound, anything on that side as they were going to commercial. I thought that was actually kind of good. So that led to the Kevin Owens, the whole Kevin Owens show, Jinder Mahal being out there. Owens does all the talking. So every time Jinder Mahal was trying to get a word in edgewise, he would continually get interrupted. And he talked about how Jinder Mahal beat Strowman last week by the count out, but he would also put him down by saying it was like, but it wasn't like beating him in a steel cage match like I did, type of thing. This was actually very good. And then they keep running down Strowman, but you have Owens kind of pseudo complimenting but putting down Jinder Mahal, and then all of a sudden the stage starts moving, and lo and behold, guess who was underneath the stage and flipping the stage over but Braun Strowman. And this was after Kevin Owens had suggested that suggested that Jinder have another match with Strowman on there. And so he flips it over, and Strowman storms to the ring. He's like, okay, let's do this. So that was next, which, again, they're playing it off. And this is an interesting bit to the story, and I like how they're going with this. Yes, their matches with Jinder Mahal and Braun Strowman aren't all that good, but it's telling the story of every way that Kevin Owens can beat Braun Strowman and get the contract without having him be pinned or submitted on that one. So this week, Kevin Owens takes the Money in the Bank contract again, starts running up the rampway, and Braun Strowman starts giving chase. He starts tugging the briefcase away as Jinder Mahal walked up there to go after Strowman, and Strowman hits him with the briefcase, causing the disqualification. Again, kind of emphasizing what they were doing there, and I thought it was a nice little way of going. That was a nice little way of going with it. I thought that was pretty good. And after this one, you did have a video package of the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match, where you had also kind of a Roman Reigns interview in there with Corey Graves to go along with it. I thought that was a decent enough package. Then you had a backstage segment with Baron Corbin and Baron Corbin, Kurt Angle, and Roman Reigns. Kurt Angle and Corbin notify that that Roman is forbidden from doing this tag team match because he had already had a match earlier in the night. And Stephanie was like, nope, you're not going to be a part of this match, and that's not going to happen because we got to protect our main event, blah, 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 blah. Which it was like, and they did a whole bit where, I liked how they did a bit where Roman says, like, I don't care what she says, I'm going to go do this. And then, of course, they rebut, the rebuttal was, if you go out there and do this match, you forfeit your title match at SummerSlam. Which is hilarious to think about. If you really think about that. She says she didn't want him in the match to protect the main event. And yet, they said, if you go out there and do this match, you're out of the main event. Little bit of a snag on that one. Little bit of a snag on that one to go along with it. On that side of everything. The end of, so, Seth's like, okay, don't worry about it, I got this. And then Roman sucker punches Corbin in the ribs that he had just been hit with the spear earlier in the night, and kind of laughs off as he's leaving. It's like, dude, you should go get a trainer to look at that type of bit. So Roman's kind of in a more chill, he seems more relaxed with everything he's doing at this point. It's an interesting dynamic of what they're going with at this one. So this actually led to Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre going up against Seth Rollins, and yes, it was a handicap match. Decent enough match. McIntyre and Ziggler go over in the end. They do point out the aspect that Dolph was the one who made the pin on Seth Rollins, but he wasn't actually the legal guy. So the ending saw Drew McIntyre tag in, and Seth got a little bit of control over Drew McIntyre as all three of them were kind of in a scramble type area, leading to Dolph Ziggler hitting the super kick and picking up the victory on that one when he wasn't the legal guy. So that was an interesting point out. Not really necessary for what they needed for, but it was what it was. So you had the B team going up against the Revival, and the B team has new music, which is kind of rah-rah music now. So they have complete style rah-rah music, and it got the crowd chanting a little bit, I guess, on that one. It's not great. It kind of serves the purpose of what the B team is. And everything, so it does kind of serve its purpose on that one. It's not necessarily great music. It's kind of B team, go, go, go. It's kind of high school cheerish and everything. It did what it needed to do on that side. The match ends in no contest, and I love the way that they actually did this. I thought this was actually kind of good, and a new way of doing it. At least a new way of doing the whole Hardy and Wyatt teleporting in type thing. So the lights go out mid-match, as I believe Bo Dallas and Dawson and Dash Dawson were going for the hot tags. The lights go out, and then when they come back up, Curtis Axel and Wilder have been in Dash Wilder, it's Scott Dawson, Dash Wilder. Sometimes I get the names confused. So Dash Wilder and Curtis Axel have been replaced by both Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy. I thought it was kind of good on that side of everything. It was a nice, unique way of doing it. And I thought, like I said, I thought that was actually kind of decent on that side. But again, still felt like more filler. And it led to another interesting thing, to thinking that it's like, okay, well, they're going to probably have a triple threat match at SummerSlam for the tag titles. No, we're going to get the triple threat match for the tag titles on Raw this week. Okay. Kind of thought that would have been a pre-show match, but I guess not on that one. So we'll see how that one ends up playing out. Now, this, I'm not going to lie to you, was by far the best thing that happened on Raw. Like I said, there was a few things in there that I liked, but it felt like it was very filler of an episode of Raw. This by far was the best thing that they had done. You had Paul Heyman's interview with Renee Young, and Paul Heyman, like, in complete distraught over what had happened from the week before. 5 o'clock shadow, eyes red, like bloodshot red, both eyes and everything. Kind of contrite and, and not, like, in bewilderment of what had happened from the week before. Saying that, Brock has not answered any of his calls, anything on that side. And that, we shouldn't even be asking these questions because it's going to make Brock even angrier. So Renee Young kind of goes to a different way of, talking to Paul with, like, how is he feeling? And it's like, I can't believe this is going down type of bit. And she even makes mentions like, well, is there anyone else that you would consider being an advocate about? And then he just makes mentions like, just a few weeks ago, that would have been inconceivable. And the way that Brock is right now, I've never seen him so violent. I've never seen him so in this state that Roman Reigns doesn't stand a chance against this Brock Lesnar going into the pay-per-view. And that's kind of where it ended on the show. They did a little bit afterwards that was on the YouTube side. That was like, where he continues like, yeah, Roman doesn't stand a chance. And then he goes like, unless. And then takes off the mic, thanks Renee Young, and leaves as Renee Young's trying to get what he means by the unless or the or less on that one, which leads people to believing, where is that going to go? Is Paul going to align with Roman, or is this the swerve that says that they're making it look like that, but Paul still sides with Brock and he ends up helping Brock in the match? That's where I'm kind of leaning right now on it. It'll be interesting to see where they go with it and how everything ends up playing out on that side. But that segment with Paul Heyman and Renee Young was really good. But again, by far best thing that happened on Monday Night Raw this week. So you had also, before the main event, you had the Riot Squad going up against Bayley and Sasha Banks. Ruby Riot returns. They had a pretty decent match as well. I thought this tag match was actually quite good to go along with it. Ruby Riot returns as Bayley's going to attack Liv Morgan on the outside, or going for a clothesline on Liv Morgan on the outside. A mysterious woman pulls Liv Morgan out of the way, which causes an insecurity, which causes the Riot Squad to pick up the victory because Sasha was distracted in the ring, got rolled up. There they go on that side. On that side to go along with it. Ruby Riot reveals herself to be the person who is there. And like I said, it was a decent enough match, but again, kind of spinning their wheels with what they're doing with the whole Sasha Bayley and the Riot Squad thing. I guess you got to play 50-50 booking again on that one. And it actually kind of makes sense with Ruby Riott returning. Like Sasha Banks and Bayley had gotten the advantage over them when Ruby Riott wasn't there. Now that she's back, they've gained the advantage again. So kind of is what it is on that one. And this led to the main event of the night, which was Alicia Fox going up against Ronda Rousey. And this was an interesting match. And by interesting, it was okay. It wasn't, it was what you expected. You had a long promo from both Alicia Fox and from Alexa Bliss before the match. And then Ronda comes out for the match itself. Lots of posturing, lots of interference, kind of exactly what you're expecting in this style of match for that. A small amount of offense for Alicia Fox. And of course, she starts gloating, and then Ronda is like, she stands up, gets that look in her eye, that mean look in her eye, and then destroys Alicia Fox, picking up the victory with the armbar. She has a promo after the match to go along with it, and Alexa Bliss tries to attack her, and gets flipped for trouble to go along with it. And she basically says she's taking the title at SummerSlam, which leads me to believe that maybe she won't be taking the title at SummerSlam on that one. Well, she's been around, and she's not that bad in the ring. I won't knock like there's a lot of people that will knock Alicia Fox for being absolutely horrible in the ring. I won't knock her for being, I don't think she's bad in the ring. It's just, it was the match you kind of expected it to be on that one. You expected a lot of interference, you expected a lot of posturing and everything on that side, and then it ended. And like I said, the match itself wasn't. It definitely is probably one of Ronda's, we've only seen Ronda 3 times in the ring. But it's probably, in the terms of her in-ring, and probably going to be her weakest match so far. But again, the way that it was booked, it was going to come off that way anyway. Again, not a horrible match. It did what it needed to do, setting up into SummerSlam on that side of everything. So it wasn't really, like I said, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great on that side of everything. To go along with it. To go along with that. And they did do at least a decent enough job of building up Alicia Fox going into the match, you know, going over her accomplishments and everything on that side. They tried to do what they could to build her up, but based off how they booked Alicia Fox over the last number of years, you kind of expected where they were going with this one. And it got exactly what I expected out of that. Wasn't too terribly much on that one. On that side of everything, it was what it was to build the story going into SummerSlam. And like I said, I thought they did a pretty good job on that side. So overall, like I said, Raw felt very. It did feel very filler, but it wasn't really that bad either. To go along with it, like there were things to like on this show again. Like I said, like every week, there's things to like on Monday Night Raw. It's just that because it's a 3-hour show, it kind of drags. That is very true. She did kind of destroy Alicia Fox on that one to go along with it. But yeah, Monday Night Raw again wasn't bad, wasn't great. It's kind of It was there. It was there. Hopefully they do something really good. Like I said, we had something really good with the Paul Heyman promo. I thought was really good. Hopefully they have something really good in store for the final Raw going into the SummerSlam as well to go along with it. And yeah, it should be an interesting one. For Monday night, for next week's Raw, or for tomorrow night's Raw and everything on that side. So this leads us into SmackDown for August the 12th. Not August the 12th. What am I thinking? It was not August the 12th. It was August the 7th, but I probably watched it I don't watch all the shows live. So sometimes the dates get mixed up in there, but it was August 7th, 2018. This show started off with Randy Orton basically going over everything he had done last week and everything, like saying that he erased Jeff Hardy. He's taking his identity away from him, trying to kind of erase him from existence. And he's going to do that to all of the heroes on SmackDown and everything. Everyone that, you know, the fans respect and they adore and everything on that side. He's going to erase all of them. He's going to, it's like, you can call him tons of different things. The Viper, Apex Predator, the Legend Killer, but in the end, he's like, you've still got to call me by the 3 most dangerous letters in the WWE. R, K, throws the mic, and which would mean O as well. Fans are still actually kind of going with that, but I like the segments that they've been doing, and they've been painting Randy Orton very well on this one. Again, it's more excitement to see Randy Orton, which is something you don't always hear a lot of people saying, but it's like Randy Orton's a little bit more interesting now. He's not just going out there, having a good match, going to the back. He's actually got some depth and character to him. You had a backstage segment after this with Becky Lynch and Charlotte. Both of them kind of talking awkwardly initially, and then Charlotte kind of talks. Then they kind of like, okay, you go first. And Charlotte starts talking. It's like making mention that she didn't mean to kind of take the spotlight, but she was given an opportunity. She's a competitor, everything on that side. Becky kind of agreed, but she's going to have a hard time, you know, being happy for her on that one. And so they were talking out, and it's like, oh, and then at the end, it's like, are we good for this tag match tonight? It's like, Charlotte goes like, are we good for the tag match tonight? It's like, yeah, we're good for the tag match tonight. You're still my best friend. It's like, and then they take a dig at the Sasha Bailey thing, and Becky goes like, it's like, what are we, Sasha and Bailey? To go along with it. I thought that was a pretty good one. Then this does lead to Becky Lynch and Charlotte going up against the Iconics. This was a rather quick match. It did go to commercial break, and then it ended rather quickly when they came back as well, with Becky and Charlotte going over in the end. You did get a promo from the Iconics before the match, which ended up getting a boring chant, which it wasn't really that bad of a promo, but it still got a boring chant on that one. So they've gotten that treatment already. Guess where they've taken the Iconics since they've been up to the main roster. They do make mention to Becky Lynch always being in Charlotte's shadow, and they kind of play that up a little bit in this one as well, with Charlotte picking up the victory with the figure 8 to go along with it. Some decent stuff on that one. You had the New Day interview, which they were initially getting interviewed by Renee Young, but Kofi wanted to give his take on trying to be an interviewer to go along with it, and based off of the fact that they had done commentary from the week before, and he calls himself Kramer Kingdom. And he busted out like this old-timey suit and an and like a blonde-esque, almost old-timey style wig to go along with it, and he starts doing an older style interview with like the most upbeat. I cannot do that voice, but he's like, oh, I can't do the voice. You would have to watch this to believe it. It was great stuff. And at the end, it was like basically a promo on the bar for later in the night. And then at the end, you have Kofi, and it was like, nailed it. So it's like gives Renee the wig. Is like, there's a souvenir on that one. It's like, we can do anything. We can be interviewers, commentators, wrestlers, anything. They go off. It was great stuff. I liked it. They showed a bit with The Miz, where they, yes, still have him on set, and yes, the painting is still there, as it's being pointed out by many people now, originally by Ross of Cultaholic. On that side, that same painting that's in the background, like that painting in the background that has like the sky and kind of like a landscape style to it, has been in backstage segments for the Brock Lesnar Paul Heyman segment, the Miz stuff last week, and then Paul Heyman again this week, and then again for the Miz's like little his on set thing as well. So that same painting is there. So it's almost like a little Easter egg. I hope they keep it in there. I really do. He ends out announcing that Miz and Daniel Bryan was going to happen at SummerSlam, that he had negotiated with Paige, and yes, it's going to happen on that one. You have another backstage segment with Becky Lynch and Charlotte, beginning to tease a little bit more tension, that they are still playing off that they're best friends, but now they've got a focus going into SummerSlam of having to fight each other. I like how Charlotte's like, it's great tagging with you, everything on that side. It's like, well, now we have to be great against each other. And it's like, okay. So, again, some tensions being built up. Maybe kind of teasing towards a Becky Lynch style heel turn, but it could also lead to Charlotte being turning heel. Or this could just lead to Carmella being able to pick up the victory somehow, some way. AJ Styles comes out to cut a promo on Samoa Joe on basically everything he had said last week. And I actually like this promo. It wasn't super high octane and everything on that side in the terms of the promo, but basically everything he had said about him being a father, not always being there when he wants to be. It was a very relatable style of promo going into the SummerSlam pay-per-view, and kind of, taking a dig at what Samoa Joe had said, and he makes mention to their past to a certain degree as well. And I like what they have in the background. They just have Samoa Joe watching AJ Styles. I guess he had gotten a black eye at one of the house shows, so because he had a pretty good shiner, and Samoa Joe's just laughing at everything AJ Styles is saying. I thought this was a pretty effective promo. I thought it was pretty good. Again, this is very promo heavy. SmackDown in the last couple weeks has been pretty promo heavy to go along with it. And again, another promo, another backstage segment. You have Lana getting ready for her match. Rusev comes up and apologizes to her. It's like, I've been doing a lot with just the whole Rusev Day thing, but I need to be supportive of Lana as well, and said, I'm going to be out there at ringside, everything on that one. So you have that. Aiden comes up. He's starting to ask for forgiveness again, and everything on that side, which Rusev ends out accepting his forgiveness. It's like, but so he starts going to the ring, but Rusev's like, we forgive you, but tonight you need to stay back here. Which is leading to, again, another match with Zelina Vega going up against Lana. This match was okay. Again, it was an okay match. It wasn't necessarily a bad match by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe a little bit better than the one they had last week. Again, Lana has shown improvements, but not too. She hasn't shown too many improvements on that side. But she's showing improvements inside the ring. Zelina Vega is pretty decent herself inside the ring as well, from what we can see. The ending of the match basically had almost giving, he gets up on the ring apron to give a distraction, which then causes Rusev and Almas to brawl. They start fighting around ringside. Almas has the advantage, which causes Aiden English to run out, spear Almas to hit Lana, who's going up to the middle rope, and she falls down, the double knees to the face, and Zelina Vega picks up the victory. Now, the point of this one is kind of weird. It's like, I guess Almas kind of hits Lana's leg, but she was so delayed and kind of falling over because of it. It came off a little awkward to go along with it. So it was a little bit of an awkward one. The match itself was decent, and of course they're continually building more tension between Aiden English. They're building more tension between Aiden English, Rusev, and Lana to go along with that. So not bad, not a bad match. Up next, you had a Shinsuke Nakamura interview where Renee is going like, okay, you're going up, basically saying, it's like talking about, you know, you have Jeff Hardy at SummerSlam. And I like how he plays it off as like, no, not facing Jeff Hardy. He's been erased. And it's like, well, despite, I love how Renee's trying to play the buzzkill on what he was trying to say. It's like, well, despite of whatever Randy Orton said, he's not really erased. And I just love how Nakamura comes off with it. It's like, I understand metaphors. I'm going to be facing what's left of Jeff Hardy, and I'm beating him at SummerSlam. And he gets interrupted by R-Truth. And this was... oh, this was great. So R-Truth comes up, and he has Ty Dillinger, and it's like, and Ty's going like, don't do it, man. Don't do it. And he's like, I want to challenge you for the U.S. title at SummerSlam. And I like how Nakamura's going to go like, well, how are you going to do that? I'm going to do it the way everyone else does it here on SmackDown. I'm going to beat Carmella and beat her and go to the face you at SummerSlam. It's like, and you just have like Ty go like, that's not how this works, man. You got to deal with him, and he's kind of pointing towards Nakamura and Renee Young, so R-Truth doesn't fully get it. It's like, I'm not going to face Renee Young. And then Nakamura gets in his face and says something in Japanese. And I like how Ty Dillinger's like, I don't understand what he just said. And you just saw R-Truth go like, well, pretending he understood what he says. Like, I can't believe he just said that. And then says like, you know what? I'm going to face Nakamura. I don't need to face Carmella. It was good comedic timing. We'll leave it at that one. It was great. Great little segment there. You had a Miz interview in the back where he was, again, playing the whole on-set thing. He touts his show, Miz and Mrs., throughout the entire thing, while Byron Saxton is trying to get, you know, him to at least talk about the match at SummerSlam, and he finally starts talking about it to go along with everything. And I like the little interaction between Byron Saxton and Corey Graves. It's like, because somehow Byron gets the interview, but Corey's kind of like the big Miz mark and everything to go along with it. So Corey's like, how? And it was some decent stuff there. He does cut a promo on the match with Daniel Bryan for SummerSlam. Again, calling him, you know, saying that, you know, Daniel Bryan needs him to keep himself relevant and everything on that side. And Bryan ends out eventually attacking Miz. Yes, he found the set, which was probably just backstage, for Miz and Mrs. To go along with that. It's hard to believe that Daniel Bryan flew to wherever he was and everything on that side. So it's kind of hard to believe on that one a little bit, but is what it is. He attacks Miz and the security. Kind of gets a little bit of an advantage over the security, but ends out getting hit in the back, in the kind of the neck and the back, and kind of a little bit of the head area with by Miz with a vase filled with flowers, and they get out of there. Again, pretty good segment. You had Shinsuke Nakamura going up against R-Truth, and Nakamura, as expected, goes over in what was a pretty decent match as well. R-Truth did get some decent offense in there. Of course, Nakamura ends up picking up the victory with the Kinshasa, leading into you know, Nakamura getting a little bit more momentum going into SummerSlam. Jeff Hardy doesn't show up on this show. They're still playing off of what Randy Orton had done to, well, what both Randy Orton and Shinsuke had done to Jeff Hardy last week to go along with it. Up next, you had a Bludgeon Brothers promo, basically a promo on the tag team title tournament match for later in the night against the Bar and the New Day, basically saying it's like the winners of that, they have to deal with us, and the bludgeoning's gonna be fun. They basically say it's gonna be fun to go along with it. Not a bad promo, nothing great about it, and this leads to the Bludgeon Brothers having a squash match. it's because R-Truth keeps disappearing and just reappearing in many different ways. It's like you almost forget he's there, and then he just appears like, wait, R-Truth's here. I'm interested. He's great. He's great. I know, and it sucks that he's in a comedy style role. I know he's at an elder age and everything compared to many of the other people in WWE, but he's still really good in the ring for what he can do on that one. But he's kind of stuck with the comedy bits, but he's also good at it. So this led to the Bludgeon Brothers having a squash match with 3SK, where they continually started just kind of messing around with like what 3SK meant throughout the entire time. I forget exactly what was said throughout the entire bit, but it was it was kind of funny with what they were going with. And Corey Graves is talking talking trash about all three of the jobbers as well. Throughout the entire thing. I think he calls one of them a Roman Reigns starter kit and a smaller version of Taz to go along with it. Of course, the Bludgeon Brothers go over in a rather quick fashion with their Doomsday Powerbomb to pick up the victory. Nothing much to go along with it. This leads to the main event of the night, which got a lot of time. Which was the Bar going up against the New Day, and this was fantastic. This was a great match. Just great match all around on this one. Lots, I won't say lots of near falls, but good teases on both ends picking up the victory. A little bit shocked that they didn't go with the Bar on this one, because we have seen the New Day going up against the Bludgeon Brothers at one point in time. On that side of everything, but the New Day does pick up the victory in here, which was a very good way of how they finished it. So for a good chunk of time, Cesaro has Big E in the sharpshooter, which he ends out transitioning it into a crossface. Eventually, Big E powers out of it, and has him for what would be like a side slam. But Kofi makes the tag, and then Big E powers him up and flips him to do the Midnight Hour, and the New Day pick up the victory. Like, this is, again, another match that's you kind of want to go out of your way to watch. This was really good on all sides. On all sides. Really good match. Definitely, probably the best match that they had done this week with the WWE. On that side of everything, and it's definitely worth going out to check. And in the end, basically, as the New Day was celebrating, the Bludgeon Brothers were in the crowd, kind of just staring them down, and then just walked off, and that's how they ended ending the show to go along with it. SmackDown was really good. Not gonna lie, SmackDown was really good this week. Another good SmackDown this week going into SummerSlam, and like I said, just came off really, really good. Sorry, still got a little bit of a cough. Not that much, but still a little bit there. So this leads us into WWE NXT for August the 8th. See, I have the right date in there this time. I had the wrong date for SmackDown, so I was like, wait a minute, today's the 12th. It didn't air on the 12th. Oops. Welcome to me botching again. It's nothing new over here either. I do botch from, I think I have some kind of botch every week on that side. But as for NXT for August the 8th, 2018, thought it was a decent enough show. I thought it came off pretty good. And we officially have the NXT TakeOver Brooklyn main event, and it's not what they announced on the show, and it was what went down after the show as well, that ended up being really, really good to go along with it in their own right. So it started off with Amber Nova going up against Nikki Cross. This was a decent enough match. Matter of fact, a lot of these matches here this week where you kind of expected people to be just the jobbers, on this one, they ended out looking pretty decent in this match. And I thought Amber Nova looked pretty decent inside of this match as well. I thought this was a decent enough match with Nikki Cross picking up the victory in the end with her swinging neck, with it's not really a corkscrew, but it's her version of a snap swinging neck breaker, and I thought it was a pretty decent match. So, this was going to lead to another match next with what was going to be Ricochet going up against somebody. We don't know who at that time. So as Ricochet's music was playing, nobody was coming out like how you typically do. You have his laser going off and everything, and all of a sudden you just see Adam Cole show up inside of the inside of where Ricochet would typically stand, and then Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly drag out Ricochet, and then Adam Cole cuts a promo on him about what he had said last week, how Ricochet called him a coward, everything on that side, and they left him lying on the rampway, which again is leading a little bit more into their North American Championship match going into NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. You had a Vanessa Bourne promo about her match later in the night. She was going to be in a match with Tainara Conti to find out who's going to be the last person in the Mae Young Classic. Decent enough promo. She's calling herself the Vision now, which is going to be an interesting thing with going forward if they're going to push Vanessa Bourne anymore, with what they're going to go with that one. That will be interesting to see. Decent enough promo. You had Adrian Jarud going up against Cassius Ohno. And they've been playing up this whole aspect that Ono's been very frustrated with the competition that he's been getting recently and feels like he should be getting a little bit more on that one. It kind of shows in this match that he seems very frustrated and is not taking the person seriously. Like, he came off a little bit heelish in this match, and it almost cost him in certain senses as well, because he takes them very lightly, and Jarud gets a good chunk of offense out of it as well to go along with it. So it came off very interesting to see where they're going with Cassius Ohno. It seemed like he was coming off a little bit heelish on this one. Maybe it is going to lead to some kind of heel turn for him down the line here. After this, you had Velveteen Dream. With his Velveteen Dream experience, which he invited EC3 to come to his experience, or to his place to have a chit chat and talk, which was basically in a gated community right by a pool to go along with it. I thought this was a pretty decent promo. It was an interesting bit with what they're going with throughout this entire thing. You had Dream saying that he's showing respect to EC3, but he's kind of also putting him down as well, and EC3 is not really having too much of it. He kind of cuts a promo on Velveteen Dream, kind of putting him down a little bit. They have this weird little back and forth where EC3 finally takes off his sunglasses, and then Velveteen Dream goes to do it himself, but he drops them. No, and they fall right next to EC3, and they're standing right by the pool as well to go along with that. And they even teased it earlier in the bit where Dream was going to try to throw EC3 into the pool, but it was just like a quick tease. But, you know, EC3 was going to be nice. He was like, okay, I'll pick him up. I got him. He goes to pick him up. Velveteen Dream goes to attack him, but EC3 picks him up in the fireman's carry and basically does the TKO to Velveteen Dream, sending him into the pool, which he starts splashing around and everything, and EC3 is like, dude, it's only like 3 feet deep. And if you took a look at where the pool was on that one, if you like noticed a little bit, they had like a 4'6" portion of the pool, and then they had a 4'9" portion of the pool. It looked like he fell into that 4'9" area. But Velveteen Dream's also an extremely tall guy, should easily be able to stand in that. To go along with it. So nice little bit there. An interesting promo. That one I'm not going to lie on. That was an interesting promo. Up next you had Marcel Barthel. Marcel Barthel. Sorry, I'm horrible with names. Going up against Keith Lee. Yes, Keith Lee is debuting in NXT, and this is a pretty good match. It was interesting to see with like how much they've been putting Keith Lee over, that this wasn't more of a squash match. But Barthel actually had some good offense in this match, but Keith Lee does eventually pick up the victory in this one. And Keith Lee as well was moving around really good. Everything on that side looked really good in this match to go along with it. I thought it came off pretty good. Up next, you had the Street Profits with a promo, and they were cutting a promo in front of an a fake ATM machine. It looked like it was something they put over a wall that made it look like an ATM machine. And I do like what they did a little bit on this one. So they were cutting a promo, and you had D'Angelo Dawkins, D'Angelo Dawkins, Angelo Dawkins, cutting a promo and calls the mighty TM61, and then you have Montez Ford going like, dude, they're not TM61 anymore, they're the mighty, and they kind of just mess around with it a bit, and it's leading to them having a match with the mighty next week. Decent enough promo. It's a decent enough promo. The Street Profits, again, this is again a sign of, you know, it's still developmental. It's definitely not perfectly done, but it's, again, showing signs that they're still in development with everything. Up next, we had the match with Vanessa Bourne going up against Tainara Conti. This is an okay match. The finish was a little bit sloppy. It was an interesting style finish with Tainara Conti picking up the victory. And they were kind of playing her up as the face in this one as well, where she had pretty much been playing heel throughout the entire thing. And like I said, it was a pretty decent, it was a decent enough match. Tainara Conti going over, and she's going on to the Mae Young Classic. She shows the emotion, everything on that side as well. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was like I said, I thought it was an okay match. A little sloppy in some spots, but again, they're in development. It's like you're still in developmental. We get all this good stuff with NXT, and then you have to remind yourself that some of these guys are actually still in development. They're not all the indie stars that we've been seeing, like with an Adam Cole, a Kyle O'Reilly, a Bobby Fish, Roderick Strong, Ricochet, Keith Lee, Cassius Ohno, any of them. You know, sometimes it's not always going to be very fluid. And we got to really recognize that sometimes on there, that some of these people are in development still, and, you know, they need to, you know, in order to be able to improve, they have to get out there. So we do have to see those from time to time, and hopefully they do continue to improve through everything as well. Up next, we had what was going to be the main event, which was going to be Johnny Gargano going up against Aleister Black. This match did end in no contest. As a matter of fact, it didn't go that long before Tommaso Ciampa came out and started attacking both of them, which did lead to all three of them brawling. And I did like how both of them were going after Tommaso Ciampa at one point, but then, you know, you had Aleister, who still wanted to get a little bit of revenge on Johnny Gargano, everything on that side. All three of them were brawling around the ring, which leads Regal to come out, and he makes a triple threat match for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, which he announces was going to be Johnny Gargano versus Aleister Black going up against Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT title. Now, this brought from last week that it was reported that Aleister Black was injured and had a potential groin injury going into the match, and was going to be it was going to be up in the air that he was going to be even in the match, and it was kind of confirmed that way, that he was not going to be in the match. So this led to kind of a whodunit video. So after the show goes off the air, you have William Regal talking about the triple threat match, saying he's like, I might as well make it a triple threat, because if I didn't, one of them was still going to get involved anyway. and going forward. So triple threat match it was, which he gets pulled aside by a crew member and he leads him outside. You see Johnny Gargano walk into the door from the opposite direction in which they were going. Then you also see Undisputed Era as they're leading, which apparently their music was playing as well in the car. It was found out later, based on how they teased everything, it was a little Easter egg far in the back, that Lars Sullivan was in the camera shot in the area as well. But it leads to Regal finding Aleister Black knocked out. And then it was announced that, then it was announced in another video that Aleister Black was going to be out of the match, and now it's going to be Johnny Gargano going up against Tommaso Ciampa in a last man standing match, which is kind of interesting to think because they apparently were supposed to have that at the last takeover, but they didn't want to do it twice in 2 nights with Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles doing it, so that kind of got put on the wayside, and now they got this match here. Or maybe that was the game plan from the get-go, was the match that they had at TakeOver last time, and then to do a last man standing match somewhere else. But they played this off so good of how to get rid of Aleister Black, because it leads to something for when he does come back. Because you kind of got this whole whodunit. You had multiple different angles. You had tons of superstars in there, like Aleister Black, you had Lars Sullivan, you had the entire Undisputed era, Johnny Gargano, and then you had another angle that had Cassius Ohno, Kairi Sane, Candice LeRae, Kona Reeves was in there. You saw Heavy Machinery in there as well to go along with it. And then you also had inside of there Kona Reeves. I think EC3 was seen in there as well, and then you had Ricochet in there. So you're left with this kind of whodunit mystery. All these guys were in this area, but saw nothing. So you got this little whodunit type thing going on, and I actually kind of like it. I thought it was a nice little touch. They did that on .com or on the YouTube channel afterwards as well to go along with it. I thought it was pretty good. And that's pretty much everything for this week. Yeah, that is pretty much everything for this week here on everything. So when it comes down to everything next week, so we do have a lot of SummerSlam content, or we have some SummerSlam content coming up, and I'm preparing a bunch of it at this point in time as well. We'll see how everything ends up playing out in the end. But expect predictions for NXT TakeOver. Expect predictions for expect predictions for SummerSlam. I don't know why I spaced there for a brief second, but expect predictions for SummerSlam. Yeah. Go ahead and throw a question up there, Batman. I'll be able to answer here in a brief moment. I'll continue going over what I'll be going through next week with all the SummerSlam content as well. So, like I said, predictions for both NXT TakeOver and SummerSlam. You have, I'll more than likely do some kind of stream over on Twitch and then upload it over here later to the YouTube page for simulation matches to the to at least SummerSlam. To at least SummerSlam, maybe NXT. I don't know on that one yet, on that side of everything. But that will definitely be coming. I do know my schedule for next week. I am off on Sunday, so I will be doing live reactions over on the Twitch page, and it should be an interesting one. And then, of course, afterwards we'll be doing the review for we will have the reviews for NXT TakeOver, and we will have the review for SummerSlam itself as well. Next week, I usually do these later in the evening, and this one's running a little bit longer. I usually start airing around 5:30 to 6:30 in the night. I will more than likely do next week's episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle a little bit earlier in the day to coincide with SummerSlam and everything. Or maybe we do it earlier in the week as well. I don't know how it's going to go, but it will either be done earlier in the day on Sunday, or it might be done on a different day as well. We'll see how everything plays out. It will be posted on my Twitter. I will post it up on the Twitter page which you can which I have a link in the description if you did want to follow my Twitter as well on that one. If you want to follow the Twitch page to see live reactions to SummerSlam, it will be just SummerSlam. I won't be able to do live reactions to NXT to go along with it, just due to work schedule to go along with that. And there will be a link in the description if you want to follow the Twitch page, everything on that side. And it should be an interesting week. It'll be a chock-filled week of content, and I'm also going to try to get some gaming into the channel without it being just WWE content as well. So we'll see how everything plays out on that one. And Batman, whenever you have your question ready, I will go ahead and answer the question. Do I think, or do you think Bobby would, do you think Bobby would ever, or is gonna win the WWE title? And I guess you're referring to either Bobby Lashley or Bobby Roode on this one? My answer to both of those, if it was either Lashley or Roode, is at this point, the way that they're booking them, highly unlikely. Highly unlikely, but what is it? I would say highly unlikely on both of them, but Bobby Lashley would have the better chance at winning either the WWE title or the WWE Universal title, mainly with Bobby Lashley, because they have at least put him in a main event style role, and it's a little bit more believable that he would have that main event style role with him facing Roman Reigns and even picking up a victory with Roman Reigns as well on that one. Bobby Roode, the way that they have him booked, unlikely, period. Maybe an Intercontinental title run. I could see Lashley picking up either the US or the Intercontinental title. It just depends on how long he's going to be how long he's going to be in the actual how long he'll actually be in the WWE, but I can imagine him picking up the Intercontinental title or the US title, but he would definitely have the better chance based off of what they've at least done with him so far in the WWE, of picking up the WWE title or the Universal title. And I think that's all we've got time for today. I think that is going to be it for today. We ran a little bit longer again, which I don't mind. I very much enjoy doing this, and I kind of like doing it in long form more than I do like doing it in the shorter forms of doing one like Raw, SmackDown, and then NXT. I mean, if we were doing this, I guess if we were doing this on a full-time thing, maybe we would do it that way, but I don't mind doing it in this long-form way that we do every week. And so I do actually enjoy that. So with that being said, though, again, for anybody who tuned into the live stream, thank you guys for tuning into the live stream this time. This time around, Batman always rolling with the chat, as always, on our side of everything. And we will see you guys next week. And yes, that will be true. Same bat time, same bat channel. We'll be a little bit earlier next week with the GodSaw's Turnbuckle, and then and like I said, over at my Twitch page, we will be doing live reactions to the pay-per-view for SummerSlam, and maybe we'll have a little bit of fun with it as well. I have something in mind. It's just a matter of whether or not I would really want to go through with doing it as well. We might have a little bit extra fun little thing going on while doing everything. I've still got to talk it out with the people who are coming over or if any of the guys are going to be coming over next week, and we'll see how everything ends out going. So again, thank you guys for tuning in this week, and this is another episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle. Peace out, take care, and have a great rest of your day.